So really funny, these are some of my toys that I had growing up as a kid, given to me by my mom and my fairy godmother, as I call my godmother, Aunt Margie. These were given to me by a lot of my aunties. And now I have a 4-year-old who plays with these same toys. So you can see how much The Wizard of Oz has impacted me to want to save all of these and then share them with my child. I think that's pretty neat. So here I am. I am Amy Palumbo Neighbors. My pronouns are she, her, and I am Glinda in The Wizard of Oz at Playhouse on the Square this holiday season. I grew up in central New Jersey, in suburbia, and similarly to so many of us, grew up with The Wizard of Oz. It was a huge part of my upbringing and of my childhood. Picture, if you will, 2 sassy Jersey girls arguing over who got to be Dorothy whenever we played pretend. But I think what makes The Wizard of Oz so unique and so special is that it transcends generations. And I have a 4-year-old son who is equally as obsessed with The Wizard of Oz as I was as a kid.
My name is Caroline Simpson. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Wicked Witch of the West. I grew up watching it as a kid, as most of us probably did, and I've also done the show once before at a summer stock. I was in the ensemble and I was the Dorothy understudy.
My name is Danny Crow, he, him pronouns, and I play the Scarecrow. Yeah, I probably heard The Wizard of Oz before I actually saw it because I grew up in a very musical sort of household. And my mom's a singer, so I would always, super into musicals and musical theater, so she would always be singing. And so I probably heard her singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow before I actually sat down and saw the movie. And then as soon as I was able to sit through a movie, it was probably one of the very first things that she showed me.
My name is Patsy Detroit. I use she, her, hers, and I'm playing Dorothy. Yeah, I've been watching Wizard of Oz since I was little, I think as most people have. I also saw both of the productions Playhouse has done over at the old circuit growing up. One of them I actually had my birthday party at, and I was probably in 3rd grade or something, and had a bunch of kids come, and we all went into a room at the old Playhouse and had cake afterwards, and the cast came and joined us. It was really sweet.
My name is Samantha Miller, pronouns she, her, and I play the role of Professor Marvel in Oz. For me, it wasn't the biggest staple in my life. I knew of it, I had seen it. I've definitely seen it enough to know all of the songs by now, but it was not, to me, just the magical experience that I know that others have had, because there was really no representation within the movie that kind of would have attracted me as a kid. For me, one example I can say is the only person of color is the villain. So it kind of, and that may not have been the thing that turned me off, but it's definitely a subconscious, oh, well, that's not what I identify with. And then, on the flip side, you want to identify with Dorothy, but subconsciously you really can't, because Dorothy doesn't look like you. There's nothing more beautiful than the Wiz to me. I think for me it represented, when I first saw it, it was oh, there are people that look like me on TV, singing and dancing and being filled with joy. And then you had this beautiful black girl, dancing through this land, encouraging and uplifting people while she was going through it. So it's really, it gave me a positive influence, especially to see Black women in culture.
I think I recently rewatched it, it's on HBO. Everything about it is beautiful, when you transition from Kansas into Oz, and it hits you, it just is a very beloved thing, and I think it's just timeless.
I think it's a classic because it's a universal story of homecoming. Coming home to being comfortable around your family and feeling loved and coming home to a safe space.
It's fantastical while also being honest. It's got that high fantasy that kids love, where it's like flying monkeys and lions and tin men and scarecrows that can talk, but is grounded in experiences that are still very, very real.
So, of course, I'm so grateful for the life that I've built here in Memphis, and the opportunities and the friendships and the experiences that Memphis has given me. I'm forever grateful for that. But yes, in my early 20s, I was living in New York City doing the whole audition thing, and I was so lucky to have several callbacks for the role of Nessa Rose in the Broadway and touring productions of Wicked. But I think it's kind of cool. I've ended up in the bubble instead of smushed under the house.
Finding the place that you want to return to is really important, and I definitely have found that in Memphis.
My whole concept of what home is a little more metaphysical recently, because I grew up in Atlanta. But then, right after college, I moved to Memphis and I worked here for a couple of years, and they helped me kind of come more into my own. I found a bit more of my artistic footing and kind of got the permission to take up a little bit more space artistically here at Playhouse, and I met my fiance. Home is much more of a feeling.
I did grow up at Playhouse. I did my first show here. I spent a lot of I trained a lot here. I went through the conservatories and even had audition help from various employees of Playhouse. So it's really cool to come back and do this show.
This character is going to be slightly different. She's more a part of Dorothy's story than what you would typically see. Of the two people who remember Kansas, why is it Oz and Dorothy, and what does that mean? And so that's where I came up with Oz should have a bigger role with guiding her through.
I think a lot of people don't realize what a great mentor Glinda is. I think she's smarter than people think she is. She could easily wave her magic wand and have Dorothy appear in the Emerald City right in front of the wizard. But she knows that Dorothy has to go on this journey on her own.
I am very excited to terrify children. I think that'll be fun, and it'll be something very different from what I'm typically cast as.
I think that he perceives himself to be brainless, and again, that is just that lack of experience again. And I think that eagerness to correct that is his greatest strength.
I hope to bring a little touch of the Glinda people are familiar with in the movie, of course, but also bring my own flair. Again, I think she's smarter than people think she is. And again, I want to bring that touch of being that mentor to Dorothy Gale.
I think she's overwhelmingly kind. She is just a normal person who wants to go home. But in the process of trying to navigate through Oz, she doesn't do anything to change Oz. She just accepts it as it is and doesn't want to hurt anyone in the process. She's just committed to her mission and wants to get home.
I think that I think parents should watch their kids watch this show. You can learn a lot about your kids by kind of watching them watch art.
I hope that people revisit their appreciation for their family, and I hope that people find curiosity in the magic of the unknown.
I hope that they see themselves better, they find a better representation of who they are within the characters on this stage.